Okay, we're ready to go.
There we go. Might want to remind some newcomers to the party.
One at a time, we're going to run out of t-shirts really fast. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do today is probably a little bit different than most sessions. We really just want to have a little bit of fun, but at the same time show you guys just how productive we think you can be with SharePoint 2013. We're going to go through an exercise of building a website, live on stage, no safety net, real deal. We've pre-baked a few little things, and we'll talk about them when we do it. So we're not going to cheat, but there are things that we've sort of brought to the party with us. This is going to be hopefully just a fun session.
A party.
A party. It's a pre-party. We know that we are the one thing that stands between you guys and the party. So we figured we would start the party here and just carry it off to the party a little later.
Sound good?
Okay?
There's a joke in there, I think.
Okay, so let me start by saying I'm Dan Cogan. We have Andrew Connell on stage. We're going to be sort of your hosts for the hour. And we have our 4 devs, and quickly just introduce yourselves.
My name's Alyssa Levitz. I'm a program manager in SharePoint Enterprise Content Management, and I'm going to be doing the visual design of this site.
My name's Pete Gonzalez. I'm an engineer on the ECM team with Alyssa, and I'm going to be doing the navigation and the technology section of the website.
I'm Josh Stickler. I'm also program manager on the ECM team. I'm going to make our site multilingual, and I'm going to connect it to search.
Okay. I am Luca Bandinelli, also working in SharePoint, and for today I will be your content guy and your query guy.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, we've done something a little bit different. You guys usually go and give feedback afterwards, which you have to do anyway. Please do it.
Yeah, please do that.
And we know that you guys all tweet during the sessions. Go ahead, keep doing that. That's fine. But we wanted to actually see in real time what you guys thought about what we were doing. And we also wanted you to be able to see what other people around you were thinking. So Andrew went and built us a little eval tool, which he's going to explain how you guys use it. Pull your phones, your laptops out, because you're going to get to log in and vote.
So basically all you have to do is go to spc270voting.azurewebsites.net. The site's been configured, very minimal branding or anything, very minimal styling. So it's going to work great on your laptops, on your tablets, on your Surface, on your phones. It's going to work just fine. There's no login required. Just go on. You'll see there's 3 buttons below each person. When you see something you like, you can give them a point, give them 2 points, give them 3 points. The thing will refresh itself or it doesn't refresh itself, but the scoring is cached every 3 minutes, so don't just keep refreshing it nonstop. Doesn't really matter, it's in Azure, so let them deal with the scale, right? But everything's going to be right there, and we'll keep track on it, watching the score and everything, and we'll probably jump over every once in a while and take a look at it. One more thing, too, Dan was talking about with the tweets. Join the conversation in this. We've already started doing a couple tweets with this. We're watching Twitter up here. We're not going to show you Twitter so that none of you can actually get something on the screen that might get us in trouble. But if you would, when you go through and tweet something, just put pound SPC270, the session code. We're taking a look at it, trying to have a little conversation during the session.
Okay, so with that, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with baby blue SharePoint out of the box. We're going to spend an hour sort of going back and forth. It's going to get messy. If you were expecting a really organized session, this is not it. Okay? It's going to be sort of back and forth. We're going to talk to the devs as they're doing their work. We're going to come back and explain some things, try and put some context around it. But it's going to be a bit of a spaghetti thing going on in the middle. And at the end, we hope to have this sort of nice-looking Fabricam.com news site. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. We need content. We need to go and build a news site. We're not about to start typing thousands of pages for our news site. So what we've done is, Luca's going to explain in a few minutes, we built a little tool. When I say we, I mean Luca. Luca built a little tool, and it's going out to Wiki News, grabbing a bunch of content, bringing it back in, and we're populating a bunch of catalogs in SharePoint. We've done this twice back in Redmond just to save some time. The third catalog, we're actually going to do live on stage to show you how we do it. So whenever we quote unquote cheat, we'll tell you. Like, we really want you guys to see us build this thing for real. Okay?
And there's really no cheating. It's just a little bit, let's save a little bit of time in the interest of time for the session, right?
That's not cheating?
Okay. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. So it's
Perfect.
fine.
Okay, so we're ready to go.
I think all screens. Yeah, let's go all screens here.
Okay, so the one thing that we've done, I'll vote for Alyssa. So what we've done here, and this is a little bit of...
Oh my God, they are. Look at that.
Whoa! Okay, so we can see the scores here, so we'll call them out every so often. What we've done is we have a link connection with each one of the devs. The screens are up there. You guys will be able to see them in real time. They're going to be heads down working for a bunch of this. But if you want to see what they're doing, you're going to actually be able to see what they're doing. If there's any error messages, you get to see them live. Every so often, we're going to zoom into one screen and sort of talk about what that person is doing. But more often than not, those are pretty big, so you should be able to see what's going on. Okay? So that's what we're doing.
The colors are all matching the voting pieces. So if you look at the voting when you're looking on your site, you can see exactly who's who. So like Alyssa's purple, Josh is yellow, or Josh is gold. Pete is green. We got the nice Vegas themes going on over there. And then, Pete is blue. I'm sorry. Yeah, Josh is gold, and Luca is got the money going.
Okay. So, are we ready to go?
So ready.
I'm so ready. So what we're going to do is basically start by taking this baby blue SharePoint site, and there we go, that one. That baby blue SharePoint site that's up in the top left corner on Alyssa's screen, and we're going to start making it look good. So Alyssa, talk to us a little bit about what we're going to build.
So we're going to build a news site, and the thing is that this clearly looks like SharePoint. And no, I mean, I love SharePoint as much as the next guy, but I don't want my news site to look like SharePoint. No. So I've hired a design agency to give me some HTML design comps that I then need to turn into my SharePoint design.
So this is like very much like a real world here. It's like you go to an agency that's going to go build out your brand, and they're going to give you something, but the agency doesn't really know SharePoint. They're going to give you HTML, CSS.
Like you said, no SharePoint. I thought you said that the agency doesn't know SharePoint.
They don't. Yes.
Okay.
No, not like that. Yes. So they don't know SharePoint. So this is a clean. This is all just pure, just HTML.
Yeah. So I can show you what we were given. So here you can see the HTML file with some CSS, JavaScript. But I'm going to open this up, and just so that it's very clear what is happening, this is your standard HTML. I have some CSS references, some divs, some ULLI nav. Like, there's nothing about this that says SharePoint. But with SharePoint 2013, I get to upload this to SharePoint, click Convert, and SharePoint inserts all of the things that it needs in order to recognize this as a SharePoint master page. Yeah.
So that's great. Alyssa, you can... So, Alyssa, we're going to go ahead and let you get started because you got a little bit of work ahead of you. So now let's go over to Josh. One of the cool things that we're going to try and do with this is we're going to make this site not just an English site. We're going to make it, which is our primary language we're going to use here, but we want to give it a real feel to it. So, Josh, why don't you talk about what you're going to work on?
Sure. So Alyssa's working on the front-end design. I'm going to work on the back-end foundation. And so I've already created an English-US variation label, because that's where we're going to create most of our content. We're also going to translate it into another language. So, Andrew, Dan, what language should I create?
I don't know. Why don't we get the audience involved here? So what languages should we take a look at? What should we consider here?
French?
We have French?
Oh, French.
I heard French.
French, German,
Sanskrit?
Sanskrit, we're not doing.
Hindi? Wait, no, he said jive.
Jive. Let's do French. French? What? French.
Okay.
The problem with doing French is that we got a French guy in the front row. Okay, let's do French.
So I'm going to make the locale of the site French, French France, but I'm going to create the site template in English because the site template is going to find for me things like the SharePoint UI, things like the ribbon, site settings links, stuff like that. You can use the multilingual user interface feature to switch out the language however you'd like. But I'm also going to set the locale of French France, and that's going to tell us what the user-generated content language is. So that's all the content that we're translating.
So I'm confused, though, Josh. You're going to go and we're going to build a site, and then you're going to go translate all the content by hand, right? Like we're going to go hire 1,000 1,000 university students to do this?
So I'm sorry, Dan, my French isn't that great, but actually I'm going to send it out to the Microsoft Translator service. And so that's going to machine translate it right in front of us.
Okay, we'll see how that goes. Perfect. Okay, so I guess we get to leave you alone for a few minutes while you start building out the French part of the site?
Yep.
Okay, so where do we go?
Next, we're going to Pete. So Pete's going to handle a lot of the organization, the structure of our site and stuff. So Pete, why don't you go talk a little bit about what you're going to work on?
Sure. This is a catalog-driven site, which basically means we have one site that has SharePoint lists that contain the data that Luca's tool will import. And then there's a front-end site that consumes that from the search index. And it's driven by the SharePoint taxonomy. So I have the term store management tool open here. And we already have the news catalog and technology catalog that we set up before. And these are the term sets for them that have the hierarchy. So we have news and technology. And I'm going to go ahead and start the sports section right now. So I'm just going to create a new term set and call it sports catalog. And do you want to give me maybe 3 sports?
Sure. Before we go there, though, let's just slow down for a little bit. Let's talk about what we're doing, right?
Sure.
So the website is a news website. We have content that are news articles. We have tech news articles. We've already imported those, like I said, the other day back in Redmond. And now we're going to go and build out the sports news section of the website, right? So we're going to go and run a tool to go pick up a bunch of content. In theory, in your enterprise, you'd have content in some back-end system or
some database,
or you'd have a bunch of people typing all night, whatever way you want to run your business, right? And so we're going to go and fetch all that stuff and bring it into the system.
Right.
This is what your customers really do?
This is what everybody ends up doing. When you're migrating over into a SharePoint site, you're always going to have content in all these different places. You got to pull it in somehow, being other websites, using tools to do that, databases like you mentioned, free-form content. We got a lot of ways of doing it, so we got to be able to get the content in.
Okay. So we're going to now need to go and fetch content about specific sports from the Wiki News stuff, right? And
Right.
you need sports.
Yeah,
Sport. Favorite sport?
Dancing.
Football. Dancing.
Rugby.
Rugby, dancing, is dancing
Lacrosse?
a sport?
Dancing is absolutely a sport.
Oh, blackjack. I like this one.
Okay.
I really like that one.
Okay, so
we don't
pick whatever you want.
How
out of
about
that.
let's do football. How about football?
So
Okay,
what else?
football.
Baseball. And how about hockey?
Those are good ones.
Dancing? I don't put dancing and see if we blow up.
So football is an interesting example, actually, because in the U.S., what we call football is the American football, whereas in Europe, they have soccer, which they call football. So on the Wiki News site, they use sort of the international names for the categories. But for our site, we're going to use the American names. And that basically highlights that we need a mapping between our website and the categories that Wiki News uses. So beforehand, Luke and I agreed that we would put custom properties on the terms in the taxonomy and basically use that as our way of doing the mapping. And I'm going to type them in right now.
Right,
in
so if this were
SharePoint.
the real Fabricam news guys, typically what's happening here is you have an information architect who's going to talk to his IT ops people who are building the importer tool. And they've said, we have this data, we have this schema, we're going to need to map some of these things. And so we've already done, we've done that in the committee process back at the ranch. And so we've agreed to how we're going to map this stuff, right?
Yep.
So let's get to that.
Yep, that's real. I mean, that's very real world, right? You got a little bit of data massaging and stuff you got to work on, but we've talked about we got the structure of the site that's kind of coming together. We got the branding that's being worked on, some multilingual stuff, but we're missing something. We're missing the content. So on the other end of the stage here, we've got Luca, who is my content monster, and Luca's going to talk a little bit about what he's going to do with in this session.
Yeah, so a couple of things here. So the first thing is that Josh was looking for a French site, so we just created a new French site by using the 36 locale, which will create the end of the authoring site used by Josh. And now in terms of content, we have created this tool that will contact Wiki News, and we grab information and we provide information inside the product catalog of SharePoint.
Gotcha. So now you're pulling this content in. How long did it take you to go build a tool like this? I mean, is this a big deal to do this?
So I'm not a developer, to be honest with you. I just opened Visual Studio after 5-6 years.
Oh, really?
And that was the very first time. And it took me a bunch of days, a couple of days in order to do that, and other couple of days in order to refine that a little bit.
So you didn't nail it the first time?
Of course not. Come on.
Wait, no. So in reality, though, you pulled the content, and we started looking at it, and frankly, we started to find some things in the content that we were pulling in that it was not necessarily things that I don't know it's that we wanted to show in a session, but it's more or less that we didn't want our names tied to a recording that had that stuff in the session.
Shockingly, there's content on Wikipedia that you might not want on the big screen. Shocking.
We wanted to clean this up a little bit. So in working with Luca, we're like, yeah, can we create like a blacklist of stuff that we just, if it's got this term in it, we don't want to use it, to block that from getting in. So that was a couple extra days of doing it. And again, that's very real world, right? We see that kind of stuff when we're building a publishing site of bringing content in. We got to make sure that the content's getting in there is fine. Make sure that we will find duplicate content throughout. So it could be a bit of a challenge and a little bit of extra work here. But it wasn't really all that big. And I believe that there's even some scripts even on TechNet that can help you kind of get content into your site as well.
I mean, I think that for most customers, this is really clearly not on stage and not in an hour, but this is the way you build a site, right? You're going to talk to your agency, they're going to give you a design, or you're going to talk to your designers in-house. You're going to then go and figure out the information architecture, which is sort of the navigation and the tagging and taxonomy. Then you're going to have to go and get all that content in the system. Sometimes it's going to be authored, sometimes it's going to be from some back-end system, sometimes it's going to be from a stream of something. And so these are real-world problems that you may want to spend more than an hour on, but this is the way we think people build websites. So,
Dan, I'm about to create the sports catalog. I just wanted to highlight that I'm increasing the size of the structure by 33%. So, vote for that.
So what Pete was saying, I'm not sure if his mic picked up. He's going through getting ready to build up the sports section of the site here.
That's right.
and Josh is angling for votes. How are we doing on the voting?
Let's take a look at this, our voting. Actually, let's show everybody what the voting looks like. This is getting kind of interesting here. So the voting for the URL is spc270voting.azurewebsites.net. You can see it way up there at the very top. We're kind of see. So let's take a look at how it's going here. There you go. Boy, Luca was very impressive. The content monster on the... You got the URL up, don't you? You're voting for yourself, don't you? I told you. I know he has the ability to do that. I'm over here. I've watched a little bit of what these other guys have done too. So this is really cool. I mean, you're seeing how some of this is kind of coming together here.
So the tool definitely does three things. It takes a look at the taxonomy that Pete created. It goes to Wikinews and grab content from that taxonomy. So you will see things from dance or football, stuff like that. And then it does massage of the HTML that is grabbing from Wikinews before putting that HTML on the product catalog according to the designer information so that the designer can work on that HTML and make that content more pretty and more connected to what was the original design of the internal site.
Okay, so we're going to get all the content in there. I think we need to start worrying now a little bit about how do we actually consume this content, Josh? Catalogs, we talked about bringing all this content into a catalog. You're going to show us a little bit about the catalogs now?
Yep, so a lot of the work that I've been doing already was on this author.fabricam site. So this is kind of our back-end authoring environment where authenticated users would go in to create stuff. But our consumers, the people who are coming to our site, our customers, we're going to direct them to www.fabricam.com. This is our front-end facing, internet-facing site. And what I'm going to use is the cross-site publishing feature to pull in a bunch of content. So I'm just going to go in here and manage my catalog connections. And I'll connect to a catalog. So we've already shared out that news and technology catalog. And so let's just connect to one of those right now.
And I can see the spot is not here yet. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so...
And so when I connect this, it's going to take all the articles that were tagged with metadata, and it's going to pin that metadata into our navigation and create some navigation for us. It's also going to create a category page and a detail page for specific articles.
And I just told Luca that it's okay for him to run his tool now to start importing the articles for the sports section. So we're not cheating.
Now, why was that important to make sure that he knew that stuff was there?
Well, because I hadn't finished adding all the columns earlier. So.
Oh, okay. So we got to make sure that the structure is there that Luca's going to be importing the content into. So just needing the content type, site, columns, terms, and that stuff.
Yeah, we're actually using a base, because we have 3 different catalogs, we have a base content type that has all the main columns. But then for the manage metadata field, each of those has to be bound to a different term set. So we have 3 different content types that inherit from that the different lists use.
One for sports, one for technology, and so
right.
forth. I got you. Okay.
Wow, that got so technically deep that we're putting people asleep.
Content types.
Whoa, come on, guys. There you go. We got to make Pat work. You got to make Pat work. Come on. There you go.
This is close to skimming the ceiling as I've seen.
Don't be breaking any light bulbs. If you guys want Pat to work, you just speak up.
Yeah, don't hit the chandelier. That thing might hurt coming down.
Remember, a vote for me is a vote for content types.
Okay, let's keep going.
Okay,
So you can see the content that is getting imported over here. You can see that the tool is already taking a look at the categories that Pete provided inside the term set. And if you see over here, you see that the sport catalog originally had 0 items. But if I refresh the page, I will see that now the content is already have 58 pages. So all this content has been imported.
Hey, we're getting content.
Perfect. Thank you. Come on, Pat. Make them happy. Good.
Nice shot. Nice shot. So we've got some content showing up in the sports catalog here. That looks really good. So now, and we've got next thing we got to do is to connect it to one of the other catalogs on the .com site. So Josh, you're going to work on something. You're working on this too, aren't you?
Yeah, so I actually connected the catalog already, and if you see, you can see the design is starting to come together a little bit, and we actually have some of the content that we've connected in, and so those are showing up, but they haven't really been styled yet or branded entirely. So all of this content hasn't been copied over, it's actually being referenced from the search index.
That navigation looks kind of crappy. I might take a look at that.
What?
You guys are arguing about navigation?
Well,
Yeah.
this is like the out-of-box
My navigation isn't good enough for Pete.
Yeah. Well, it's not really yours. It's unless you were talking about the stuff we did for the product that we shipped. But it's out of the box. It's dynamic navigation, and the approach we're going to use today is static, which means we're going to load all the different levels in the page at one time, and then use CSS to style the different levels of the hierarchy.
Okay, so you're claiming that you're going to go make cooler navigation. That's your claim?
I'm going to make more professional navigation.
Oh, more professional navigation. Okay, fine.
See what I have to put up with?
So Josh, usually you're working on the catalog here, going back to the .com site. So what were we talking a little bit about that?
So yeah, so the .com site has pulled in a bunch of content from search, and I've also, so I've pulled in all of this content from search as well as all of our terms, and I'm also working on creating a .fr site. So like you can see, this URL is fabricam.com. Another thing that we've heard a lot of feedback on in the past, customers are using variations, they want to translate their site. What variations does is it copies content around, but that's all within one single site collection. And so your URL would end up looking something sort of like, author.fabricam.com/enus/fr, something like that. But we've heard people want to have a top-level domain, especially for search engine optimization, just to make sure that their site is really resonating with customers from a certain market. So we actually have this other fabricam.fr site. And what we're going to do is pin the translated French content into this other top-level domain, so you have a country code top-level domain. So French users can find French content.
Yeah, that's really, that's a big.
Oh, we have like really slow. Lucky you're not actually defending us from anything. Like, we would have been stormed by now, Pat. Okay,
So I guess that brings up a really good point here, because you're able to have a lot more control over the URL, unlike in previous times where the multilingual URLs is kind of a one-size-fits-all kind of approach, where this is allowing you to have a lot more control over how the URL is going to look. But so that's going to be something pretty powerful that customers are probably going to really appreciate here, I guess.
yeah, I mean, honestly, we've been working with multilingual for almost 10 years, and I think for the last 10 years, people have said to us, what about the URLs? What about the URLs? And well, it's a sub-URL. And it's like, no. Yeah. Well, now you get to do what you want, right?
You do whatever you want with the
top
levels.
And so our website, Fabricam News, is going to have 2 different URLs. It's going to be super cool.
I think that there's more. I think there's a...
Friend, shoot him. Boom.
I think... I'm going to go listen now.
Right, okay,
so I think that that's really powerful. Give us that capability. I think we're going to see something a little bit also very cool around multilingual with the URLs in a little bit. But something else I'm seeing here, I'm looking at the scoring thing, and I see Alyssa is you're kind of trailing here, Alyssa. You're in 4th place, but I'm watching the stuff that's going on the top of the screen here, and you've made a heck of a lot of progress. You want to show us a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, I would love to. Just 3? 3.
There we go.
Yeah, so what I've been doing while everyone's been talking and populating content and translating, I've been working on primarily 3 files. I first was working on the desktop master page, and the master page is, of course, the Chrome, the common elements across all pages of your site. So we have this lovely top bar or banner and this, the footer and these little widgets on the side. And so that was step 1. And I did that by converting the HTML master page that didn't know it was going inside SharePoint, and then SharePoint was able to convert that, and I moved controls around and I added snippets. Then the next thing I did was create this welcome page layout, because obviously I don't know whether you noticed it had all of these kind of helper links at the beginning, and obviously I don't want my end users to see these helper links about SharePoint. I want them to see the news. So I created a new page layout, and this page layout has these banners where content's going to be filled later. There are web part zones hidden in there that if Luca wants to put content search web parts in there at some point soon.
Luca, are we ever going to get content on our website?
So you want some content? I'll give you some content.
Yeah.
Let's get some content. You want content? We'll
That's
give
my
you
job here
content.
today. Come on. Thank you, guys.
You looked a little lazy over there. We need to give you something to
Get
do,
to work,
okay?
Luca.
Yeah, but in addition to this, another thing I did was the same process I applied to the desktop HTML page. I did the exact same thing for a mobile design.
Hey, Alyssa, can I interrupt for a second?
I would love it if,
I
yeah.
want to edit the master page to add the navigation. Are you done with it?
Yeah, let me just make sure it's closed.
Okay.
Yeah, cool beans.
All right, go ahead. Carry on.
Carry on. Okay, so I have my
That looks familiar.
handy dandy Nokia Lumia. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any to give away. Don't get so
Yeah.
excited. We have one. Sorry.
But as you can see, this is a totally different form factor. It's touch-based, so the hover nav that I had going on just wasn't going to work here. So here I have touch-based nav where I can drill in and see these different topics. And we're clearly not all the way there, but because what is that page?
You were able to do all of that fast?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because with SharePoint 2013, the design of a publishing site, it's not so much a build as an edit and iterate. You have this HTML design comp that you're, of course, going to get from your design agency. But then we insert the controls that you need and give you access to the controls that you need through the snippet gallery such that you don't have to think so much about what SharePoint wants. You just get to do what it is that you need. And as I keep refreshing the page, we see Luca's been adding some content search web parts in here. So I want to first see if I can show this, and then we'll go over to content.
Okay.
Is this gonna?
Trying.
It's working?
It'll work. It'll work.
Working on it.
Let's see what we get. Live on stage.
You can see it.
Oh, it's an iPad.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, boo.
That's not us.
Okay.
That's a Dreamweaver bug.
It must be a Dreamweaver bug. Okay, so, cool. You showed us a phone. You showed us.
She's not showing us her login, though.
Yeah, she's not.
I know. Shocker. Okay.
We're gonna do.
I can show you
Oh,
the navigation.
wait. What is that you're pointing at?
So we
Dan?
have a.
What do you have there?
We have a different new device. So let's. Yeah, I know the screen's blank because we have nothing plugged in. Come on, Alyssa. Enough of that I thing. Let's
Let's go with the S thing,
yeah. Let's do something.
or RT thing.
You're gonna have to refresh. It'll go. Come on. Anytime.
Pat, would you shoot the screen?
It made an.
It beeped. It thinks it's coming.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh.
There it goes.
There we go.
It's
Leave it.
Yay!
Woo!
Okay, watch. We're gonna be able to. Okay, go.
The issue here is that with the device channels.
Doesn't work on that screen.
I can't touch it.
Okay.
So the issue here is.
Here, we'll do it this way. You scroll. We'll there you go.
Yeah. Nicely done, guys. So the issue here is that it's still using the master page that I have on the desktop over here, which would take far too long to switch the device over. But remember what it's like. So here, this is hover nav, and that's obviously not going to work on the Surface. So what I'm going to do is edit the device channels that I've set up so that they actually pick up. Try not to drop the iPad. I'm going to edit the device channel so that it actually grabs the traffic from Surface devices. And I do that by editing the user agent string. So I think I'm going to go off and do that.
Very
Look
cool.
at my nav.
Actually, we'll get to your nav. Everybody will get a turn. Don't worry. Nav. Well, we're going to go. Now we're going to go to Luca next. Luca, you're working on the web parts, right?
Yes, I was working on the content, and just like Elisa was explaining, I already inserted the first content by search web part to grab content from the news catalog. But, I mean, Dan told me not to cheat, right? So why don't we do the other one, the technology one, real time right now, so I'll show you how easy is that. So, yeehaw! Yeah. Perfect! Show me some love, guys. So I'm editing the page right now.
So I told you not to cheat, but apparently Andrew said cheating's okay. So do whatever you want to do.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Okay. So I'm here in the design phase of the page, and I'm adding a new web part. And I have this new content roll-up where I can find the content search web part. And I'm adding, just like any other web part, to a web part zone that the designer created on the page.
Just a short announcement. Mr. Chris Johnson, if you could put your phone down. Okay, we'll keep going.
Okay. Some interesting tweets coming through.
So one of the properties of this web part, and is rendering now, is that if you go upstairs, you will see that we have a new change query option on the side. It's coming on the screen. It's here already. We have a little bit of latency. It will come. And one of the things that you can do here by doing the change the query is that you are able to refine the query and to understand and to provide the information on which kind of content you want to grab from the index with the search index and display on the side, just like was any other kind of page or any other content that would be stored in any other kind of page. So here you can see that we have this select query and we have this drop down that we'll show in a second. And this drop down will show you the amount of result sources that will be available. And what a result source is basically a pre-baked query that you can use in order to grab content.
Wait, so hold on a second, look here. So you're going through, you're building this content search web part that's the new web part we have in 2013. It's going to pull content straight from the search index to show it inside of show it on the site. I see a couple little drop downs here where it says the news catalog results and the, the technology catalog results, the one you have highlighted. So those are coming from, how did you get those added in there? Is that what this catalog thing is all about?
Yep. So we remember when we ran the tool? The tool put information inside the catalog in the authoring side. Then we crawled the content, and we put the content from the catalog side inside the search index. And then after the search it was there, because Josh created a catalog connection, now we are able to drive the query to grab only content that is coming from that specific catalog.
So why is it, so that one's we're seeing the catalog showing up here because they were created as catalogs, so predefined queries to make it easier for users to show the content.
That's
but
correct.
There's one that's missing. Why don't we do a sports thing?
Yes.
Or did you not do anything over there?
You are absolutely correct.
Oh,
so
you've been working this last hour. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. So basically, before you see the sport, Josh needs to make a connection with that catalog. Before making that connection, we need to do an incremental crawl so that the content that is inside the sports catalog, in the product catalog, in the authoring side, will be available in the index, in the search index, so that at that point, you will be able to make that connection.
So, okay, so let's get this straight here. So when you create the catalog and you say, I want to make this as a catalog or treat this list as a catalog, then when search goes through and finds that content, it sees the search list, he's going to, or the catalog list, he's going to find that it's been flagged as a catalog and then keep special things inside of it that's going to create this predefined query. So the search is what's triggering that.
That is correct. The search is the one that triggered the ability to connect to that catalog, which also triggers the ability to create these kind of result sources.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
now, the content's all coming from these, so I guess you go ahead and you can pick one or two of these.
Yeah, so let's pick the technology. I already picked the news before. And you can see, just now, that in the right side of the screen, you have the search result preview, which will come in a second. Here it is. And this is a query that is happening real time on the search
Previews?
index. And
I didn't hear anybody care about the previews.
That's pretty cool. You get to see the preview.
Previews?
Come on, guys, preview.
It's a little more genuine
is a
when
real
they do
query.
it without being prompted.
Well, the problem is I don't think they realize how cool some of this stuff is. So I'm trying to help them along.
So we have to
Plus,
tell them
we
what's
have
cool.
a lot of T-shirts.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We have to tell them what's cool.
We have to tell you what's cool. If you don't know what's cool, we'll tell you what's cool. Okay, let's keep going.
So that's a real query that is happening on the insert to the search index, and it's returning information based on the technology catalog. So I have an additional 2 steps to complete my process. Of course, 2.5. The half one is the click on the OK button.
Okay.
And then I'm back to the page over here. And then the other 2 things here is that I can tweak a little bit what is the display templates that will tell the system how to organize the information inside the page so that you will be able to display the number of items and the formatting of the item depending on the design of the page itself.
I got you. Now, can we go back to the editing of the query right there? I want to kind of highlight something right there that's really important people need to understand. Just because that we put this content in these catalogs, that doesn't mean that's the only content that we can show on the site. One of the things that's really cool about the way that this content search works is that where content by search is pulling content out of a search index and surfacing it on the page. So the goal here is to get content into the index as a search-driven site. And then once we have the content in the index, we can then surface it using the content by search. We're just using these predefined catalogs to make life easy right now. But if I had content that was indexed using, like, say, a BCS connection from a database or something, and I wanted to surface that on the page, one of the cool things here is Luca can switch it over to advanced mode, and you'll see that we have full control over tweaking the query that's going to be created at the box at the bottom, to where we can say, sort by content class or stuff like that, if I want to show documents or whatever. One of the other neat things is the one that's got highlighted there. It says value of a token from the URL. So what that's going to do is that we're going to be able to pull parts of the URL out and include those inside of the query. So for example, if he adds in the token in there, the first one, you'll see that there's a little, the way it's written out is a dollar, or with the curly brackets, says URL token.1. What that is the rightmost position of the URL. So if we had fabricam.com/technology/laptops, then it would be URL token 1 would be laptops, URL token 2 would be one more over to be technology, and we could use those things in the URL to create a custom one. The catalogs are just making our life easy, not having to worry about that kind of stuff. It's doing it for us. So that's really cool. That's really powerful, because now you'll see that it's really going to give us the ability to surface content across our entire site from multiple site collections, from multiple sources, from other websites, from databases or whatever, solving a problem that we had in SharePoint, in the previous versions of SharePoint, where it was very hard to surface content in multiple renderings across the site in multiple areas. That's really cool and very powerful. That's how you get them to clap.
Oh, you got to actually tell them to. I can get them to clap without having to spend 5 minutes. I can just say, it's cool, right? Woo!
And did I mention that in the preview you can already see how many results will match your query? So you have the exact number of the results that are relevant on your query. It's kind of a cool that as well, right?
Okay, cool. So we've got the design going. We've got a bunch of content in there. We've got Josh working on translations. We've got Pete working on nav. Let's spend a couple of minutes looking at how the nav is doing. Then Josh, then we're going to come back to you on the translation stuff.
Good.
Okay, so Pete.
Nav!
Woo!
Nav looks a little bit nicer there. It looks very
This
nice.
nav is really exciting.
Oh, yeah.
We've got
It's not going to work when you
styles.
say it like that. You got to tell them it's exciting. Like, nav's exciting!
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah.
So I have applied CSS styles. I have pasted a snippet into the master page. I mean, you can talk about queries. You can talk about... Oh, is it? Thanks.
Now talk.
Okay.
Okay, now talk.
Hello?
There you go. Okay.
Anyway, nav.
Now.
Wait, no. Pete, I want to actually talk about the nav snippet for a second. Like, as a designer, I think that the nav snippet is actually really pretty cool.
So I have it up on my screen here.
Oh.
Do you want to zoom in on it?
Wow, no, go for it.
Well, you can talk about it.
Oh, well, so when I first...
I'll get the points.
So I...
nav. Woo!
Oh. But so the thing is, so when I was first doing the master page, I was just trying to get it out there. And so I did it quickly. And so I was using the dynamic nav, which we're all really familiar with in terms of like you have your out-of-the-box SharePoint site, and it does the hover thing, and it's fine. As it turns out, that's incredibly difficult to style. So I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. But what Pete did was he actually used a different nav snippet, and that's what we call the static snippet. And that static snippet, all it does is it emits the ULLI of your nav, and it makes it so much easier for you to style. So once you switch that, of course you could make it look good.
That's right.
Okay, so you're going to keep working on your nav? Is that?
Well, I'll say.
Nav!
Did we really make it look?
Hold on.
There you
I have
go.
to say, this is not as cool as it could possibly be.
You got any ideas?
You're going to make it cooler because it goes corporate now. You're going to make it cool?
Yeah, there's a REST service that lets JavaScript query the navigation hierarchy from the site. So, and I happen to have jQuery handy. jQuery!
Just happen to have it.
So I'm going to see if I can make a custom nav of my own.
Okay,
that,
so you go jQuery.
does it use
We're
any
going to
service
go.
like- yeah.
We're going to go work with Josh for a little bit.
All right.
Okay, Josh, what's going on with the multilingual stuff?
We got to help
Okay.
Josh out. The scoring.
Yep,
Josh
Josh's
Josh
scores
needs some love.
are kind of suffering right now. So.
Well, I'm back. All right, so so we have the English U.S. news catalog. This you've all seen, blah blah blah. But now I want to show you the French
for blah, blah,
catalog.
blah.
French, go French. All right. So I have the French catalog here. A bunch of it's been translated by the machine translation service. I actually have one more item that hasn't been translated, and I'm going to translate that right now before your very eyes. So let's take this item, and I'm going to translate it.
High risk.
I know. I'm taking a calculated risk. This is Vegas.
So
after all.
you're sending content to Bing to actually get translated right now?
That just got translated right now. So this item about Slovenia just got translated. And I'll tell you what else has been translated. So all of these items
So
have been
we're translating Slovenian news into French?
Yes.
Okay, let's keep
This is a
going.
very multinational site, okay?
Important distinction.
So I have, I'm back here in the term store. And so I have a bunch of terms that we've tagged everything with. This is driving our navigation, but it's all in English. I've actually sent all of these term sets out to the translation service also. You can see that that's now in French as well.
Woo!
A bunch of French.
So all the
Over there, Pat, over there. They haven't gotten any T-shirts. Come on.
so you said that you just translated all the nav terms.
I just
Yes.
I just
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. Have you
So wait, that was pretty important there. So you went through and you translated all the nav terms as well. So
That's right.
did you send those to Bing as well?
I sent all of them to Microsoft Translator. Yeah.
All right, so let me get this straight. So we're able to go do the machine-based translation by sending this stuff off automatic translations. But I think I've worked with some companies that they don't want to use machine-based translation. What they instead want to do is they want to use a third party to actually do their thing. So what about with the content you're
You
sending
hire
off?
college students. I keep telling you.
So I want to be able to take that content out and then hand it over to someone and then import it back. Is that possible?
Absolutely. So oftentimes, machine translation is the first step, and then we'll export it out the same way we export it when we send it to Microsoft Translator. You can actually download that as a package and send that off to your translation vendors so they can give it that sort of human personal touch.
Is that like a real file format that's
Right.
defined?
So that's XLIF. It's an Open Oasis file format. It's all XML.
Oh, okay. Very easy. Very nice.
Very cool.
Very cool.
So I think we're about ready.
Yeah, so I think we're about ready, but before being ready, I think we have an extra step in terms of UI and design, because Elisa is doing a great work in terms of doing the design of the home page, as well as doing the design and the formatting of the pages in the roll-up categories. But we are missing one piece over here, which is when I click on any of these items, the content is there. So you will be able to see now in a second when the information goes back to the page that the content is there. So the page is making a query on the index and is returning back information. But the information over there is not well formatted and should be formatted better. And Elisa already created a bunch of templates that I will be able to apply to this content in order to make that happen. So, I mean, Elisa, do you want to do that? Do you want me to do that?
How about I do it, and if you could kick off the crawl, I think are
Should
we
we
at it?
exporting pod first?
Real world problems here.
Send me the design package, Alyssa, because then I can make the French site.
No. We need to do the item details pages before we can do the design package.
So do you want me to do the item details pages so that you're working on the design package?
No, no, no. I need the item details pages and then design package. If you could crawl.
Nav!
Okay.
Right, we need a crawl right now?
Work on the item details pages, and when you're ready, let me know.
Yeah,
Nice
yeah.
catch.
Wait, okay.
So, we ready?
Yeah.
Are we doing
Lisa now is working on the item detail pages so that page that you will see in your top right corner, which is the detail item page, which contains all the right content but all the wrong formatting, will show way nicer the moment that Elisa is done with the design.
Okay, so this is up to Alyssa to make this look good. Okay. Hey, Pete.
Thanks for the vote of confidence there.
That's not what I meant. Inside
There you
voice,
go.
okay. Hey, yay, Alyssa. Wow.
Yay, Alyssa.
Wow, yay, Alyssa.
Vote for
Okay.
Alyssa.
Pete, I keep seeing these weird things popping up. What are you doing?
Oh, in the corner. This nav is not looking corporate at all.
Okay, let's see what you got, because that's not very corporate.
So on our website, I've added a small cat icon to the navigation.
Yes.
A cat icon on the navigation.
And
Okay.
if you click it, it takes you to this page that is driven by the JavaScript, and it's loaded the navigation from a REST service.
Why would anybody ever want to do this?
Because it's more fun. It has the whole hierarchy.
Cats! Woo!
Is,
Okay,
that, is that a French cat or an English cat?
Did we translate the cat, Josh? Sachin Shah, yes.
Well, the cat is actually a Unicode character. There's some new emoticons and high-end Unicode ranges.
The cat is a universal symbol of
That's right.
happiness and peace.
No cat were
So you can use this cat royalty-free on your own websites.
No cat were offended or hurted during
No.
these Unicode. Right? Okay, I want to be clear.
Hurt,
again.
no. Offended, I'm not sure. Okay, so let's really talk about this for a sec, Pete. So this is fine. It's a cat on our website, but why would customers want to do this? Well, this is a good example of when Fabricam News wants to go sell cats. No, what are they doing here?
Well, I guess I can make up a good justification for it.
You guess or you can't?
What I was intending to do was illustrate how flexible SharePoint is, because we have all these services and the client OM that allow you to build all kinds of stuff in the page without having to install controls on the server. We've really expanded in 2013 the amount of stuff that you can do in JavaScript. So this is an example of something that's completely outside the bounds of the normal stuff. I'm not using the normal ASP.NET menu control. I'm just rendering my own stuff with JavaScript.
Okay, so that, I think, that's cat-worthy, right? That's cool.
That's
okay.
Give me some points. But I'm not done yet.
Hey, you're not done.
No, I can
Hey,
do
Pat,
more.
Pat, are you right-handed? Because everything seems to be going that way. Like, the poor people over there.
Just don't hit the sound. Don't hit the sound guy, please.
Okay, so
Yeah.
where are we going now?
I can talk about the item details page a little bit if
Yeah,
you want.
yep.
Yeah, the cat. Yeah.
Sure, let's go for it.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is when we connected to the catalog, one of the things that got created was.
Hey, listen, are we
Yeah.
ready for the crawl yet?
Let me hit the save button.
Okay.
We're going to crawl? Okay.
Search
So
crawl.
it's important that when you're going to go and take a full crawl of your content that you coordinate with the people in your enterprise, right?
And you know the best is? It's not a full crawl. It's an incremental crawl.
Even easier. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, actually, can I have 2 more seconds? 2 more seconds.
And this is an incremental crawl on a demo VM that was not intended for this kind of usage during a session. So
Yeah.
Okay. So the
Are we
things
crawling?
Not quite, because I want to hit save one more time. Okay.
Is that a yes, he can crawl now?
That was a yes, he can crawl.
Okay,
sorry.
that's a
Luca,
yes.
now we can crawl.
One thing that I want to show the work that Elisa did. So if you
Wait, no, I wanted to explain the work that I did first. Yes. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Luca's just angling for both.
Yeah.
He's not doing that well. Okay.
But so the thing with the when you connect to a catalog, one of the things that happens is you have the category roll-up page, which is what we see when we click on news here, and that is one set of things that you need to style. And then the other thing is, as Luca was mentioning, we need to style those individual item pages. And the way that that gets styled is when you connect to the catalog, all sorts of managed metadata properties are inserted as catalog item reuse snippets that then you can style. And because I know what each of these things is emitting, I'm able to put these CSS IDs on. What is Crawling. And so I'm able to style it really easily just by knowing the managed properties. And so then when I click into this, we have the design of the item details page.
So as we do this, I'm looking at Twitter.
Not cool enough, I guess.
No, it's cool.
You guys are going to like this.
Apparently I don't know, we might need to file a patent. Someone just claims that we've invented client-side cats. So thank you. We'll keep going. Okay. Okay, so where are we now?
So
we have, I think
Luca,
now,
what happened?
we just lost Luca. Luca, I need you to present.
This was taken after we bailed Luca
So
out
this
last
is a
night.
picture of Luca.
Exactly.
We got this.
I'll be right back.
We got this picture of Luca last night, right before we had to use our gambling money to go bail him out.
I'm back.
You're back. Okay, thanks, Luca. Come on. Okay.
All right, so Luca's kicked off the crawl here. Alyssa, did you have something else that you want to say about the branding? Or no?
it's gorgeous, right?
Okay, branding's gorgeous.
Yeah?
Luca.
So Luca, you're not presenting again. So this is important to one of the things we wanted to highlight here and mention while we're doing the crawl here is that one of the things that Pete mentioned is that keep in mind that we did say at the beginning that we're cheating a little bit. Now, one of the things that we're doing is that while Luca is going through and doing this crawl, it's an incremental crawl, but it is going to take a couple minutes for it to run. And we are doing this in a demo environment. So we're doing this as a single server SharePoint farm. So we have SharePoint running. We don't have a separate search server or anything. So while that crawl's going, it is kind of beating up the rest of our the rest of the site. And so things are going a little slow right here. So this is kind of a real world thing, but really in the real world, in a production scenario, you're going to have a separate search server, so you won't be seeing this kind of like sluggishness that you might be seeing.
And there'd be more cats involved.
There'll be a lot more cats involved, yes.
Yep.
Cats.
Cats.
So that's just a little bit of cheating there. Some of the other cheating that we did do is that, and this is stuff that I see a lot of people in the real world do, at least initially when you're building out your site, is that we've taken the liberty to turn off versioning, to turn off the check-in, check-out, to turn off the publishing stuff on a lot of the libraries we're working with, just to kind of simplify the demo a little bit. But in the real world, you're really not going to do that anyway at the beginning of authoring your site and building up the brand and everything. You can leave all that stuff on perfectly, but we've decided to turn it off just to make our lives a little bit easier so that you're not being in a lot of pain watching us check in, approve,
Or type in passwords.
Or type in passwords, yeah. That's just kind of a pain right now. So taking a little bit of liberty there.
So we should probably keep going a little bit. We're waiting for the crawl to finish. Is that what we're doing?
We don't want to disturb the demo
Should we do
box
just
too much.
an intermission? Is that what
Or no, we can ask.
if everybody could just vote for a minute?
You can work.
How's the look?
Snappy.
That's not us. Cat. Dreamweaver. No, sorry.
Pretty close to Area 51. There was a flyover.
I don't have anything else
Okay,
to do
so-
until we connect to catalog.
Luca, are we ready?
Yeah, so we are crawling. We are almost done. You can see that the machine is pretty responsive, which is a good thing.
It's always good when the servers are responsive. Yeah.
I will take a couple of minutes. So what I said,
Not until we connect to. So Josh just asked me again if we were ready for the design package, and we're not ready for the design package until the crawl is done, so that we can connect to the sports catalog, so that then we can edit those item detail and category pages for that. Then I can give you a package.
so do we want to see if the sport catalog is ready?
That's a good idea. I'll check. Okay.
So what's interesting, right, is when you think about the way a real customer would end up doing this, you would end up building out the site, and then at some point after you import it all, there is a crawl that's going to be necessary. It's going to probably take a little bit longer than the 3 minutes or whatever it's taking us on stage, but often this is a consideration that a lot of customers, struggle with. Is when do I start? When do we say this is the thing that we're going to start with? And well, it used to be a big problem for people who just had to do a full crawl. As Luca mentioned earlier, now with incremental crawl, it's not such a big deal, right? You can kick it off, get 99% of it going, and then as content refreshes and starts to come up, you can just keep recrawling with incremental crawl. Are we ready? Almost?
Almost. I will take 1 more minute over here.
So anybody have any questions?
Hey!
Crawl done? Crawl's
Look over
done?
there.
Oh, okay.
Where are we looking at? I didn't see where we were. Crawl's done. Okay.
Oh!
Did we just hit somebody?
No, it was this, like,
So, and I want to say,
stepping.
the crawl is not done, but the information are being in the index catalog, so the
So now we're getting
it's
content
closing.
coming
So we are
back
getting
now.
close
We're getting
now.
content
That's the
coming
point.
back.
Getting content coming back. Okay.
So it might be a little slow, but we should proceed, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So next up, next working on the CBS for the home page. So working on the content by search for the home page. That's something that Luca, you were working on as well, right? Or did you work on a little bit for us?
Yeah, so what I was doing before, if you remember, I was doing that for the news article and for the technology article because that were the only two that were available. But now, if you can see, at the moment that this will happen over here in a second, is that if you go to the page and you refresh the page, you will see that we have a new sports menu on the navigation over here. See? Sports was not there before. And the reason why Sport is there is because the search was able to put content from the product catalog in the search index, and Josh was able to make the connection. And once the connection is done, now you have the Sports menu over here where you have all the information around all the categories that we have been imported from Wikipedia from Sports. And I want to say that again. No custom code here. It's only a matter of configuration. This now also gives me the ability to do what I did before, meaning that I can insert a new content by search web part on that home page, and I can configure that content by search web part in order to connect to the sports catalog result search. And let's do that again together. So let me put the page in edit mode.
Okay, we're good. You want to try out the nav?
Let's check out the nav
Try
here.
it on the Surface device, though.
Oh, the nav on the Surface device? Okay, so do you want to connect to this for us? there,
Yeah,
Melissa?
I would love to.
We were having connectivity issues a second ago, or projection issues.
I'm using CSS3 animations.
Okay,
So
there we go.
Cutting edge browser.
Okay, so just wait. Let's project number 3. Let's see what we get.
What? Is that
Okay, that's what we're supposed to be
That's
seeing.
Yeah, so now I'm going to go into the nav, and there's a cat in my
Oh,
nav.
there's a cat in your nav.
There's a cat in your nav.
Okay, now what happens? Okay, just let it go.
That's very touchy too. It's a nice design, make it much more touch friendly.
This is my JavaScript removes the on-click event from the top-level nav.
Huh.
Can we
slight
do
hiccup.
no, I got
move
this.
it
I got this. I want it. Can we do in-place nav editing and move it underneath something else so that it's not top level?
Sure.
Okay, stop. Let's show people what you're doing.
Okay, I got, yeah. Keep it on 3, but
No, we'll show Pete.
No.
So this is real world. This is the way things happen. Pete, you're going to do in-place nav editing?
no.
Or is
So
Alyssa
I
doing it? I think
hit
Alyssa's
it
doing
on
it.
here, but if we go into a settings page, here. So here we're
I'll
going to
just do it through the transform manager.
No, in-place nav editing is super cool. So I'm going to edit the links, and I am going to move.
Drag the cat.
I'm going to drag the cat. It's a pinned term set, so I can't drag the cat.
Create a second cat.
I create a second cat.
Can we,
Oh! I see what you're
How do
saying.
you create cats?
I want to pin a cat.
You can
I'm more of a fan of a dog.
you can drag it.
Now I'm going to drag. And I'm going to drag. No, I'm going to drag. I would drag. Maybe we will do this through the term store. Pete, do you want to do this through the term store?
Okay.
Pete's going to do this in the term store.
I'm pretty sure we had this working. Okay, Pete, you're up. Let's see what you can do for us.
And just to
Oh,
clarify,
cat in the term. I've never seen a cat in the term store.
So as you can see, what I'm going to do is create a second cat. And
Why
to avoid
not?
a sibling conflict between terms, I'm going to temporarily rename it. We'll learn more about this in my session tomorrow that I'll shamelessly plug right now. That's all about coding against the taxonomy, 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Can you translate the cat?
Meow.
What do French cats say?
Meow.
Meow? Oh, okay.
What happens when you send that to Bing, Josh?
Okay, so we now have a cat under a cat. Well,
We have a cat
that's
under.
probably
Oh, I have to plug it in. Yeah.
So now we have a cat under a cat. One speaks French. There's going to be a bad joke in there somewhere.
Oh, God.
Well, I didn't make the CSS that disabled the JavaScript.
It was the JavaScript that disabled the CSS, okay? Please.
That's going to show up on the voting.
Okay, yeah, so cat under the cat.
Now what? Now what?
What?
That's right. And this is a fully functioning navigation here. I've got my animations. Hockey. They broke the vote.
You guys just broke half your website.
Check that. No, switch over to this. Switch over to this. Watch this. I think that I literally think
Yeah,
we just broke Azure.
You guys just broke Azure. Well done. So much for the stealing thing. Okay, let's go back. That's not us. That's okay.
So what
That's
do we have
Dreamweaver.
left to do here?
So I think at this point I'm ready to create a design package for Josh so that he can have the same look and feel
I need a
on
second.
the French site.
I need a second.
You need
Oh,
time?
no,
Okay, what do you want to
Luca
show,
needs
Luca?
something.
So what I'm doing here is that I connected the sports content by search, and the last thing that I'm doing here is that I'm changing the detail 8 items for the sports items so that we are referring the same formatting of world site. So I'm done.
Oh,
That's it?
Yep, good.
Really?
Yeah, you can go to the home page, and you can
Okay,
see the number.
what device do we want to go to the home page on?
here, I've got
We
the
have a
home page.
plethora. No, we don't have a BlackBerry.
The one device we don't have is a BlackBerry. Alyssa, you're top corner. Okay, let's see what you got.
So now we have the home page. Our home page has all of the CBS content search web parts on it for news, sports, and technology. So I think that now
That's pretty cool, right?
That's very cool.
And you can go to an item and see how it looks.
Oh, go to an item page?
Yeah, of course.
Josh was making the design package.
Yeah, Josh is doing his design package. While he's doing that, I want to talk about the design packaging.
Okay.
So in the Design Manager, your one-stop shop wizard awesomeness for branding publishing sites in 2013.
You had nothing to do with that feature,
I had
right?
nothing to do
Okay.
with that feature. I mean, that would just be...
Okay.
It would
be
be shameless.
plug, right?
Shameless
Okay.
plug. But so one of the features that we have is creating a design package. And so Josh is working on creating one right now. And the thing is, every single file that I touched in the master page gallery in the styles library, every single one of those, but and the ones that Luca was working on too, those are going to be part of a solutions package.
So I just put Josh's screen up there so you can see him working through the French site, getting all the design package imported and so on. Okay, go back.
And so when he is importing that, it's taking all of those master page gallery and style library files that we were working on and applying them to the site as they are in our master page mapping. So in order for all the site to work, we had the default channel, the desktop channel, which had one master page applied. And then we also had the touch, all the different devices. Those had another master page. And that master page mapping is persisted over in the design package.
I want to share one of my favorite features of SharePoint. Right now, you're looking at the working on it dialog. You know, I don't really like this spinning wheel. I just made it go away. You click on it, boom, it's gone. It's like magic.
You actually designed that and coded it and tested it?
What I like is that it claims I'm working and I'm just standing here. Okay, so we're waiting for that to import. So let's recap.
Do you want to put a CBS on the page with like some top articles? I got nothing else to do here.
You got nothing else to do. We got about 5 minutes left. Okay,
right.
go for it. So let's recap. What we've gone through here, we went through taking the design packages, building out all the HTML that we got from our design agency. We've imported all the content from Wikinews. We've created the navigation hierarchies. We've attached the nav.
We got cats.
We got cats several times. We got cats on cats.
Cats.
Cats, yep. We build out the content search web parts. We put the display templates on them. And we're getting pretty close. Oh, we did the device channel stuff so that we can make it look different on different devices. So, I mean, in all honesty, right, with all the kidding and all the joking and the
A little bit of
and
pre-work.
a little bit of gunshots and whatever, you know, yes, we did some work before we started, absolutely. But 4 people clowning around in about 45 to 50 minutes, we really managed to put together a site. Are we almost ready to show this thing off? A couple more minutes? Almost, okay.
Well, so Pete, do you want to explain what's going on there while?
Sure.
I think she just pitched it to Pete.
So I can use my own laptop.
Go, Pete,
So
you're
we're
up.
just looking at the front page here. What we've done is put a CBS control on the side that just shows the top articles today. So you can see basically the stuff from the search index is being pulled into CBS with some custom styling. We did create a custom display template that changes the way that the items appear. The default ones that I think were demoed in some of the other sessions have like a picture next to them and maybe a couple lines of text. So we just wanted to have small bullets here so we could get like a number of different news articles there. And if you click on them, it takes you to the page for that article. So it's all kind of wired up and working there. And I think that's one of the last main components we wanted to have on the master page for our site.
Okay,
Yeah.
so before we go any further,
CBS. And I just want to highlight that we had no network connectivity. I just want to highlight that we had no network connectivity issues during this session.
yeah, we get
Don't jinx it! No, not yet.
We are not done yet.
Hey,
Come
Luca,
on.
you're scaring people again. Would you share your screen?
Luca, share your screen, man.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay,
Okay, so we have a link.
Back to the network connectivity issue, by the way.
Yeah, okay, let's try and finish up. So, yep, we'll come back to you. We'll show your stuff in a little bit. You want to?
Yeah, okay, so now we have, I feel, the complete design for our English site for both desktop and the 1,000 devices that we have up here. So just so that you can see all of the different things that we've done. So this is the desktop site. I have the category site. So this is a category page. We have an item details page. And then now I'm going to go and look at it on the Windows Phone. And so here we have a different master page. We have a display template that's rendering differently based on the fact that this is the mobile channel. And then so we can see this as it's the touch-based nav. So then if we want to drill into sports or, dare I try the cat on this phone?
I've never seen the cloud.
I've never seen it.
Actually, we're
CSS3 on the phone.
First time on stage.
Yeah. We did not test that. But so here we have a
We are going
category.
to be cowboy guys.
always test, but when I do it on stage.
So we have our category page, we have item details page, and it looks like you would want it on a phone. So now that we have it on the phone,
Actually, before we finish this up, Pete, Pete, no.
Josh.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay.
Okay.
So you may remember.
Just wait. Hold on. We got to get rid of that and get Josh's screen up.
There we go.
Okay, Josh, go for it.
So you may remember the site that we've been showing you. There's all this English content. You can go into a specific article. It all looks good. But let's make it French. So now we have everything translated. Nav is translated. We have all the articles that are translated and coming in. I'm going to click on one of those same articles, and I'll go in here, and it's all in French. The exact same site, different URL, all in French.
Show us the URL. Can you zoom in on that?
Zoom into the URL.
Oh, no, stay there. There you go.
There you go. Okay.
Voila.
No, this one first.
That one first?
This one
okay.
first.
So this is, I think we're getting there. This is it, right? We're going to go look at the website on a couple of devices, show how it adapts to the device. I guess I need to actually show the device.
There it comes.
Oh, I need to refresh it one more.
The device. Okay, there you go. They can't see you behind the screen. There you go. Okay.
Okay, so here we have our, the same site, and it has adapted to the width and the pixels across of this device.
That's the width.
Resolution. The resolution.
It's more technical when it's pixels across the device.
But So we have this color-based nav. We can drill in. We can see these categories. We have these item details pages. And again, we're using the screen real estate the way it was meant to be used. And we're not overutilizing it. We're not underutilizing it. I don't have to pinch and zoom. There's none of that going on. But yeah.
Yeah.
And for the
Here we go.
piece de resistance,
Because it is a French site after all.
because it is a French site after all.
Back to the surface.
Back to the surface.
Just wait, it's going to
It's
take a
thinking
second.
about it.
There you go.
Okay. So again, we have our lovely touch-friendly navigation. It looks really good, no pinching and zooming. But then,
You missed one more time.
no, I think there's something wrong with the resolution on.
It
Oh,
doesn't-
you know,
it
wait, is
doesn't-
this?
it won't pin to the side with the resolution.
It won't pin to the side with this resolution.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it won't do it.
Ooh, you know what I can?
That's okay.
No,
Oh,
I
you do
can.
it on
I
your-
can
do
pin
on
it
your
on
desktop
this.
and pin it?
Yeah, it's not as
Okay.
fun as the touch swipe.
We're trying to show
pin.
how do you take the site and we can pin it to the side.
You're ruining it.
Sorry. Trying to help.
Okay, here we go.
No,
was
no,
fast.
that's it's because I'm on my desktop. No, this is a feature. Because I'm on my desktop and my immersive IE browser does not have the user agent string of an iPad, a Surface, or a Windows Phone. Of course, it's going to be using the desktop device channel that I have set up. Can we?
That's okay.
Yeah, we'll move it
There
to
you
this.
go. Bring something else up and then tag it to the side there. And
Yeah,
The resolution's still too high.
my resolution is still too small.
There you go.
There we
It
go.
would have pinched on the side. Snap works. It's great. There you go.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
need
Responsive design.
we need
Oh, manual resizing.
Manual resizing.
Okay. Device. Yeah.
Click here, and then you drag that. That's right.
Zoom. Yeah?
There you
You
go.
see that?
Manually resizing. Okay, so we've shown the devices. Let's go back. Take a look. Okay, you can stop that now, Alyssa. Thank you.
Hey,
Shouldn't we be firing a T-shirt about now?
No, we're done.
Oh, really?
I don't know, Pat. We got T-shirts? Go, go, go. Okay, we'll get there.
So we can
Okay,
take somebody's shirt and put it in the can.
Josh.
Not it.
So I think we're looking at the finished cake here on the left, on the left we have the English site, all beautifully branded, all in English, pulling content in from search, and on the right we have all this content that's in French with the same design, but it's now been all translated.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
go Cat. Okay, I mean, that was it. We,
The only thing we're missing was a few horizontal pixels.
yeah, we were missing some pixels. An hour and what, 10 minutes? 4 people. We went from out of the box to a fully functional, multilingual, like, I think this is going to make you guys super powerful to be able to go and really build stuff for the enterprise. We're super jazzed.